All right, next I want to talk a little bit about the cultural geography. And in the past, we've talked about cultural hearts. We've talked about in Mesoamerica, the Andes, Mesopotamia and the Nile Valley, as well as West Africa. And there is another one along the Indus River. So the Indus Valley, which is modern day Pakistan, is another one of these cultural hearts, these early civilizations. Here's a closer view of it. And it was a civilization that was around during the time of like the Mesopotamians. It was one of these very early civilizations, but declined over time. And I'll include a video that talks a little bit more about it. But I wanted to mention that this is the Fertile Crescent, or Mesopotamia, Nile Valley, and nearby you also had the Indus Valley civilization. And I'll include a video that discusses this a bit more, but I wanted to just introduce that. And I want to show this figure. It's the regions, but I want to show because it highlights the countries a little better. So we have India here, and we have Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then we have Bangladesh. And there are some religious differences between India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. India in particular is kind of unique. And so let's talk about Islam. So we talked about that in a previous chapter. We talked about the diffusion of Islam, both through relocation, like around here to the Ganges Delta where Bangladesh is, but also by radial expansion. So if you see where Islam spread into here, this is part of Pakistan and a little bit of India, but also through relocation into the Ganges Delta. So Pakistan and Bangladesh, here in the Ganges Delta, are two places where there is a strong majority of people who practice Islam. So you see that for Pakistan, and you see that for Bangladesh. India, however, has its own older religion called Hinduism. And Hinduism is very uniquely Indian. So majority of people in India are Hindus. And I'll include a video more on the Hindu religion, but it's an old and very traditionally Indian religion. It came at an earlier time before Islam, an area called the Aryan invasion, when people from other places came in, and Hinduism is part of their traditions merged with other local traditions that evolved over time. So the Aryan invasion kind of brought some of the elements of Hinduism, but one element in particular it brought is a social caste system, or a system where people are considered in different in a different social form of the social hierarchy, where there's people who are kind of like upper class, middle class, on down the line. And this was kind of embedded in the culture and religion, but it's outlawed now, but it still kind of remains as a kind of a backdrop, especially in rural areas. In more urbanized area, it's kind of fades off a little, because it's sometimes hard. If you're not in a small town, you don't know what kind of caste people their family may have come from. But be aware of the caste system. Buddhism originated in India, but is now a very small minority religion here. One exception, though, and let me kind of go back for a moment, is in Sri Lanka. This small island country just off of India, still remains majority Buddhist. So it didn't kind of persist as much in India, but it did in Sri Lanka. You also have Islam, and Islam is going to be primarily here in, well, Afghanistan too, but Pakistan and Bangladesh. Now, one reason that Pakistan and Bangladesh have such high majority is Islam, and India has such a high majority Hindu, is largely political. They were all kind of combined together as one country, but they were actually split apart along religious lines. And then one other religion to note is Sikhism, which is in the what's called the Punjab region, right at the edge between Pakistan and India. There's kind of a shared region called Punjab, and Sikhism is not, I don't think it's it's not one of the top 5 religions in the world, but it might be like 6 or 7. It's a significant number of people who practice it, and it's a kind of a it's a religion that came after Islam, after Hinduism, and it kind of integrated some elements of those religions into a uniquely kind of Punjab region religion. So this is the Punjab region. This is Pakistan. There's a Punjab region in Pakistan, but Sikhism, the real stronghold, is the part of the Punjab region that's in India. And although there is, this region has been kind of chopped up politically, but this kind of Punjab region is where Sikhism is a big religion. And languages as well. So you have 2 primary language families in this part of the world. The 2 big ones are Dravidian and Indo-European. Dravidian are really kind of older languages that were in the area of India before. But as people kind of migrated in from other, during this Aryan invasion, these people came from people who migrated also to Europe and other places and had kind of a common language that they brought with them that evolved over time. So a lot of the majority of the languages spoken from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and down to India and Bangladesh are part of the same language family as European languages. So, and this is true for Iran as well, that the languages that spread into Europe also have spread into other parts of the world, all the way down to like Bangladesh.